and you get rid of 2 important Fire Giants. I mean, you burn this power play down, and while they got a lot of gold in the form of towers, you save a Phoenix, and you put yourselves maybe not in a better position gold-wise, but at least in a spot where you know you can team fight. That being said, look at the investments. Vote still has his ult, Neil, Dart McPillar's about to be up, and, well, Cuvo Dartes there about halfway through, but Relic's on the side of the Warriors. You've got a missing Aegis, a missing Shell, and a missing Blink. That's about it. You've got Beads down for Pagon, Sprint down, but a lot of ults that are still on cooldown. Mike's going to get his back, but that one's a little negligible. Panda Cat has his, which feels great around the Phoenixes. Could feel good around the Fire Giant, depending on how they get engaged. But FineOK and Sam are the ones you really want to have that. Should be back, or at least close to back, by the time the Fire Giant comes around. But that's where the pressure is going to be. That's a huge fight, huge amount of damage for Panda Cat. Obnoxious that he's got 16,000 and is 0, 1, and 2, so you know that the kills, unfortunately, maybe aren't going his way. But a good amount of poke in there. And I think that we're going to see something that at least can hold presence around this next FG fight. The Warriors aren't necessarily running away with it as easily as they could.
No. Still in a good spot, though. Would have loved to have gotten that left side Phoenix, so map state-wise would have felt more comfortable. Oh, and Fred takes damage. So an interesting call from the Dragons here. Maybe the right call, not feeling overly confident after a Phoenix defense goes correctly. And the call is simply give the regular Fire Giant over to the Oni Warriors. We're not going to fight this one out. Maybe test our hand again at a Fire Giant Phoenix defense. So, ends up not being all that dramatic at all. And the Oni Warriors will get it relatively comfortably. I mean, again, I guess the gold lead is still that bad, right? I mean,
yeah.
Experience, you're still catching up in a couple of categories. And so you can't be blinded by rage, right? I mean, that's the Jade Dragons get themselves a great defense. But then when you zoom out, I guess you are really risking just losing the game when you're team fighting from a massive deficit like they are.
I don't know how it would work, but having Rage have a blind on it would be very funny, just for the phrase.
Like for FineOK though, like the guy playing the Cullen gets like blinded.
No, I meant like the item Rage.
Oh,
like.
Wait, what is the energy? Is that Rage for Cullen? Frustration.
Oh, yeah, it's his frustration meter. How grumpy is he really?
I think it is his rage meter.
Yeah, it is his rage meter. So, you know, good pull. Either way, maybe that's what it is. On his transform, it gives a blind.
Yeah, rage is not good enough as an item.
Or it blinds yourself. That feels bad.
You're right. You're blinded by your own rage. You X-ball ult yourself. Yeah, I don't think rage as an item is strong enough. We should just add a blind. Every time you get a crit with rage in your item pool, it blinds your opponent. That's a worthwhile balance.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's maybe exactly what Pagon, even though he's not building crit, needs here, because the Jade Dragons made a miraculous Phoenix defense work once, but a lot of that was Panda Cat charging up the ultimate.
He's still going to be good
burst damage. Gonna need to make it happen yet again. Stun onto Neilma. Remember, Pagon's got poke damage as well. A lot of ranged poke where the Oni Warriors kind of need to get in. And you're seeing those two different mindsets clash at the Phoenix line.
And I think I admire this a lot from the Dragons because, like you said, they played it well around the Fire Giant to the extent that was, we know we can't win that fight. It's not going to be the greatest one for us. We're, like you said, 8K down, 9K down. You have to be incredibly careful stepping up to an FG like that because if you lose the FG and the fight, the game's just over because your Phoenixes are exposed. Instead, they go back to where they know there's a lot of success, and I think that this is a good split for them. FineOK is going to be more than adept at soloing and keeping people away from mid-Phoenix. And Panda Cat, at this point, without an EFG, is incredibly potent. They've got a minute and a half to try and work with here for the Warriors. And it's so awkward because if you step forward, the exact same play for the Dragons can happen again. And you mentioned it, but ranged poke is always going to be there.
Nika. Looking for Sam for soccer. Damage out from Panda Cat. Corbin Mike in charge of ice. Kivo Fred looking for the Ymir, but leaves empty-handed. Left side Phoenix goes down as FineOK reinitiates on the front line, and the Oni Warriors got what they came for. No head for the hills.
I think that's an easy call to make, right? It's just, you know what? I'll take it. Let's get out of here now because that is what's going to be comfortable for you. You can't stay for the fight. You have a minute left on your FG buff, and maybe you could try to pivot some of that aggression over towards the mid-Phoenix, knowing that a lot of that utility is now down for the Dragons. but you're missing beads on 2 people. It doesn't feel incredibly safe. With only a minute left, I like where they're going. Back up, swipe some jungle away from the dragons if you can. At least get your own. Get yourselves a Trebuchet lined up. And there's about to be a Primal Fury. And based on the this or that, I know a lot of people chose Oni Fury in the this or that, but there was a lot of Primal Fury discussion in that.
So a big power potion. This one, the Elixir of Defense, ends up being the choice for Cubo Fred. Wants to be able to get a bit more active and a bit more safe in jumping into these team fights. I wonder now, though, I mean, with the left side Phoenix gone, of course, life is always going to be difficult for the Dragons. With this, I wonder if this is a line that the Jade Dragons have to draw. I mean, you couldn't hold them at bay under a regular Fire Giant. May need to try to poke out, find some damage, find a fight under the Enhanced if you're the Dragons.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how far into this you feel super confident. I like this positioning, right? But one,
I mean, again, you got range advantage, but
how much is the range advantage? You know, because like gold advantage being so heavily in one side, especially with this kind of positioning, man, that's an easy way to pick somebody out. Mike's gotta be careful.
Core, it may just not matter. Poor.
Oh, come on.
And the Warriors, instead of opting to just run straight through it, through the Phoenix, through the tower, and get there, opt to go back for the Fire Giant. They've got 30 seconds left for a lot of the respawns on the Dragon, so it's not like they had a fire burning under them to make sure that it happened quickly. But that is a lot of time that is going to be wasted, and if they go the slow route, they've got a Trebuchet. Fire minions are being dealt with. By the time they get through this Phoenix, Fino-K should be respawned, if not just about to come back. And so this is going to be riskier if they decide to go into the room just because of the respawns that'll come through. They still got the advantage, though.
Yeah.
With an EFG, it's going to be the easiest 3 Phoenixes down that they could find.
And you get the Enhanced Fire Giant regen. If you go back and spend up all that gold again, there's not much to spend up outside of upgrading your relics. Wow, and it will be the slow play for the Oni Warriors.
I feel like they definitely could have won that.
I was for certain that we were going to just forego the Enhanced Fire Giant entirely.
And just run, right? Straight into the, like, ignore the tower, ignore the Phoenix. Just
I guess the argument is, now the Oni, like, what's the difference in win percentage with a full 5-on-5, 2.9 Phoenixes down, under the Titan, that's 70% HP, versus 5 versus 2 with no Phoenixes down. Yeah,
the damage numbers from Hanakat and Pagon are just high enough,
right, to make that interesting.
It's like,
yeah, but
if you go in a 2v5,
yeah, but they're still on the map.
Well, you had fire minions for a little bit. And so with fire minions,
I think
they don't back and clear there if you get aggressive. I think they could. I agree. I think they could have won.
I mean, it's like maybe a 90% chance for them to win there versus like a 99% chance to win now, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know though. You're risking a full 5-on-5 team fight turnaround. Anything can happen.
And this is where the Dragons fought back earlier. It's the left side Phoenix. I mean, Panda Cat can go huge here.
Look, Oni Warrior should win this game. You've got fire minions walking into the base. You're going to be able to jump on the Titan.
Man, you just had to do them like that. That's a nasty caster's curse you tried to throw out there.
Look, they should. I'm not wrong. Whether I cast them or not is up to the Oni Warriors. They should win this game. 3 Phoenixes down, Enhanced Fire Giants on all 5.
Fire minions
in the base. You should win this game. So the conversation likely does not matter, but crazier things have happened. Dragons at this point just trying to delay the game, but Sanford sucker, my God. Goodbye. And goodbye, Game 2. Oni Warrior shutting down the targets, shutting down the Jade Dragons. On to a Game 3 we go.
Yeah, look, 3-0-12 there for Cubo. First off is a nuts slash line for the Fenrir. I think a lot of good assists for him, but Dardez, in my mind, very easy to talk about. I think a lot of good setup coming down from that Morrigan. And then a lot of it became to the certain point where it was like, okay, now we're just ahead.
Yep.
So we're gonna fight better than you. We've got more items. We hit harder. And you had mentioned it. We talked about it. Left side Phoenix was a good example. That one defense the Dragons had. Range advantage, really good plays, good engage from the Dragons could potentially turn fights over in their favor. But how often are you going to get that against a team that, at the time was like 8,000 gold, and then the next time you fought was 10,000 gold, and then the next time you fought was like 15,000 gold? The further that gap got, the harder it came to make that play again.
I don't know there was a Xing Chen on the map, Gore. The Oni Warriors were just ahead. Yeah, baby!
Yeah.
Oni Warriors tie us up. Game 3 coming up next.
Got it. beg me for food and then not eating it. Walked away from it. I'll be okay.
Straight from a party, we're all on a roll tonight. Women be sparky, all the men be dancing right. Moving my body, clubbing feels so sweet. We turn and turn and turn again. We turn and turn and feel the heat. Straight from a party, music's coming your way. I will be smiling, you'll be so fine. Do you believe there's a young world in my heart, telling me to dance, taking a chance? If you believe there's a young world come about, young world shaking the ground. Straight from a party, clubbing till the morning break. Moving your body, talking to my soul. And I got all my sisters to the right. We'll be moving till the break of light. And I got all my brothers within sight, turning till the clock will strike 1, 2, 3, 4. Pretty people dance.
What the fuck is this? Get out of here.
Pretty people dance. Pretty baby doll.
9 days. That's about my vacation time.
Well, a couple of stumbles along the way, but the Oni Warriors are able to clean up their act in game number 2 and bring themselves a victory to tie up the set. And now take us to game number 3 up against the Jade Dragons. A little bit more of a traditional style of composition coming from the Warriors this time. Even despite dropping the first 3 kills of the game right away, able to bounce themselves back and find themselves a win here up against the Jade Dragons. It's J-Mac and Mifflin with game number 2 now done. Much better the Oni Warriors. I mean, able to hold out in team fights more often. Sure, there was a stumble at the left Phoenix earlier on. That's when the Jade Dragons were able to finally find some kind of punch back, but at the end, the Oni Warriors team fight just very clean throughout.
Yeah, I gotta agree, man. I mean, the Jade Dragons do strike first, as you said. 3 kills cleanly to start off this match, but it was one team fight around the Greater Scorpion on the right-hand side, this exact team fight. And I'm thinking to myself, no way the Jade Dragons lose from here. They chose this engagement around the Greater Scorpion. Mike lands a double freeze into a fully channeled double ultimate. And I looked at him and I'm like, well, Mike's not taking any damage. Well, someone's got to be. Oh, it's everybody else on the Jade Dragons getting absolutely slammed. And that seemed to be a common thread throughout the duration of this match. The Oni Warriors at times just finding their opportunities to completely ignore the front line, Final K and PBM. And a lot of these highlights likely will be the 2 last members of the Jade Dragons to die, because the Warriors were like a precision scalpel in their target selection, just finding those ideal targets every single left Phoenix Siege if you establish as dominant a lead as they had after you had controlled the map state up until that point. And it shows. Sure, stumble into a dub.
Even throughout, I mean, there were many moments where, you know, you're talking about, okay, well, PBM's not taking a lot of damage. Oh, well, Final K's also not taking a lot of damage. Those two were able to hold out a lot of their HP bar, but when it came down to, I mean, when we look at the Oni Warriors over the last few successful sets they've had, a couple of the pieces that have worked really well for them have been Dodgy and Morgan, usually as a combo together, but as long as they have one of those two, usually the Oni Warriors are able to find some success. The Dodgy banned away from them in games 1 and 2. The Morgan able to come out in game number 2 for the Oni Warriors, and you can see the impact that Darda has had. Not very often that Morgan, as a god, is able to put out top damage on the board, let alone nearly 30k throughout this game.
Yeah, Neoma as well has a phenomenal performance. I believe 0-1 and 16 at the end of that match. The nearly perfect support slash line. So the Oni Warriors, when they get back to their bread and butter, seem to find some success, because that is just a standard Warriors draft through and through.
That is just, when you look up the Oni Warriors, this is the style of composition, the type of gods that you would imagine these guys playing. I've also got to maybe think for the Jade Dragons, they've given Nika this RDO 2 times in a row now. Maybe start looking at that as something that maybe they could take for themselves, give it over to Final Case. They have something in that lane to be able to play that bully, to be that front line when they get to those team fights. But no knock towards Final K, was doing a great job on this Kukullan. Unfortunately, just became the target of being Ragnaroked into Dharmic Pillars multiple times throughout team fights.
Yeah, they used to be called like the shake and bake combo, because you could like pick them up and just run them back and forth.
Unfortunately, we can't do that anymore.
Yeah, darn design team taking away our
Taking
fun
our fun.
for the sake of balance. God, what losers, nerds.
They had 2 times that it's had to be taken away. We had the original Shake and Bake, then there was the Shake and Bake 2.0 with Scotty Ice when that came out.
Yeah.
And then that got taken away, and now we got Dharmic Pillars, and they're like, yeah, we're not letting that happen a 3rd time.
And Ganesh is still good somehow? Crazy. That god is nerf resistant.
Man, you're telling me a god who has like a silence, a bunch of protections that come with that silence, a Dharmic Pillar that does a lot of damage, and prot shred and soul and slows people. Also gives power to their teammates when you hits them with the one ability.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty good. Also can't take your kills. You got to feel if you're good of anybody else on the team.
Well, that's why I'm not playing him. I didn't know he did any of that stuff, because I refuse to play a god that can't get kills. So.
Oh, I should have just started with can't give kill or can't take kills or whatever from your teammates, and you'd be like, yeah, I'm never touching that god again.
Yeah, we're done with that. All that other stuff sounded pretty cool, though. Maybe I will try him out in like a duel matchup.
There you go.
No
that
allies.
Way, at least you can get one there. Maybe the Jade Dragons can rally back in game number 3. Picks and bans ready to go. And the MO for the Jade Dragons so far for their bans have been Dodgy, Osiris, and AMC. 2 gods away from Cuvo Fred. 1 god taken away from Dardes. We'll see if they continue that trend. No, it will not. First change out, Osiris out. And so will now the RDO be removed from the table. Though Jade Dragons can still ban one of those other 2 picks away.
We
But the
speedrunning?
apparently we are going through speedrun. This is picks and bans any percent.
Yeah, that is a very
God, Neil
quick
cut his
phase
hair?
there. I suppose both teams having got plenty of
What
data
the hell?
on each other now as we go into game 3. Don't
He
need
had
to think
such
too
luscious
hard about
hair.
their bans. Caster's Curse, the only Warriors gonna do their best
Yeah,
to
they're
make me
getting
wrong.
a bad split in their 6th run
Yeah,
here.
dude, we are like -5 right now.
Yeah,
They
this
gotta
is-
hurry up.
This isn't looking so good, though. The only Warriors will continue up the bans that they had in the prior matchups there. The Emojas still not going to make it through. Xing Chen giving them too much trouble in game 1, not going to let it through game 2 or 3. And now one more ban over to the Warriors, who have really slowed down this speed run. They're definitely not going to make it to SGDQ anytime soon.
Yeah, that's messed up, man. Look, I suppose you could target out some jungle picks. Hunbots was one that performed very well, but you're not really dedicating a ban to bots in general, so instead, Chernobog taken off the table. The Jade Dragons now pick of the field, take Osiris as their first selection. Flex potential between both solo and jungle. Feels like we've been seeing them a little bit more often in the jungle recently. Mannequin Scepter start with the Golden Blade, just so strong early. Some of the changes to Stone Cutting Sword in the most recent seasons has made it a very strong item for these gods that have got bruiser tendencies built into the kit. So being able to strip away protections and give them to yourself as you've got mitigations already makes you a not only high DPS god, but a pretty survivable
Hi.
one. Osiris, just fine as a first pick overall.
And with that Osiris pick, it kind of acts as that double ban there, where before they were banning it away from Cuvo Fred, not letting him have that one. This time they get to remove that as a ban, take Nika off of something he's been comfortable on, and then get that pick up for themselves. So now the Oni Warriors have a couple of picks over to themselves. Bologna, who's been kind of largely overlooked in this set specifically. In our first set of the day, that one was picked every single time, usually top 2 by the Tartarus Titans, but now we'll make it to the Oni Warriors draft. And the Morrigan immediately right back at first after the strong performance. I think it was like 8-1 or 8-2 that Dardes had in game number 2. I don't see any reason why you don't give that one back to him.
You think that Bologna's going to the soul lane?
I hope so.
I hope so too.
I really hope so.
I mean, I wouldn't mind a Bologna jungle. I feel like she might be slept on in
That's
that
a
role.
throwback.
I'm kind of done with Bologna ADC
That's back
though.
to the days when like Chuckles and those guys were actually playing in their respective league.
Wow, why is Chuckles catching a stray on the desk?
No, because that was like the days of like Bologna and Freya jungle back in the OCE. I mean, like that was that time frame. I don't think we're there anymore, but you never know.
Yeah, time is a flat circle. So I'm not rehashing that. Time would actually be a flat circle if I made that joke again. Bologna locked in alongside the Morgan for the Oni Warriors. A strong top 2
Oh, my
performance,
goodness,
very good from Dardes in game 2. So no surprise that he's reprising his role as the Morrigan. And Bologna should be able to hold her own, even if it is an Osiris over towards the soul lane. That matchup not exactly favoring one over the other. Osiris, if he so chooses, going towards Death Soul in that first slot, should have sustained advantage at least for the first 6 to 7 levels. But after you get a couple of points in a Scourge, Bologna should be able to make up that difference.
Fafnir and Yu Huang for the Jade Dragon. So Mike going to go back to a pick that he played 5 times in a row prior to this set, and we'll now get it for a 6th time within those 8 games. So Mike has plenty of practice on this god, and potentially Panda Cat, plenty of practice on this Yu Huang. Played 2 games in a row, or this set, and 1 game from the previous one. So we're now sitting at 3 for Panda Cat. But always keep you just guessing with the Jade Dragons. You never know exactly where they're going to drop these picks out. Oni Warriors save QO Fred's pick for last in the previous game, and may just be following that same suit here, as Ganesh is once again locked up for the Warriors.
Yeah, it seems like the Warriors really liked how game 2 went, so they want to get as much of the same as they can. Jade Dragons, on the other hand, with the Yu Huang locked in again. I'm not sure, man. Do you really want Panda Cat playing it again? I mean, I'm not hating it.
Do you?
I'm not hating it, but survivability towards mid and some early pressure from Yu Huang could deal with the Morrigan very well. The Morrigan, historically a god that struggles in just clearing out her own camps and her own farm, could struggle even more so against the early pressure that Yu Huang establishes. I mean, you can go back towards a Hunter as well and try to
Nemesis
get
still
that
up.
pressure up that way. I suppose it depends on the jungler selection